Hi, I'm Ted, and I'm a bold-faced liar. I'm very good at it. I'm a proficient liar. As an actor, I've been lying professionally for just over 2 decades, but as an alcoholic, I've been lying personally my whole life. Tonight, I'm going to share with you the key ingredients in which I believe a good lie is formed and how and why it is my preferred method to finding the truth, so long as you're honest about it. Now, any self-respecting liar knows that first, you yourself as the liar have to know the truth. After all, the first person you have to convince of any good lie is you yourself, the liar. And second, you need other people, witnesses to lie too. One cannot lie and avoid. These are the conditions in which a good lie can thrive. Now, you have to know the truth because you have to know what you're working against. Like pressing your back against the wall, you have to know what not to look at. You have to know what to avoid so that you yourself as the liar can start to believe the lie. Like forming unmolded clay into a pot, lying is molding the truth. You have to know where you can and cannot put pressure, otherwise the whole thing might collapse. But to do this requires a deep understanding of who you are and an awareness of how you are perceived. The truth. Not what you wish you were or what you aspire to be, but the cold, hard, honest truth. Who we are colors the lens in which we view the world, which in turn colors the way in which we lie. Like pressing tare on a scale to account for the weight of a container, we as liars have to be aware of our distance from zero and adjust accordingly. As a rampant alcoholic, I spent the majority of my life lying with abandon to everybody and my doctors without their consent. One might say I was dishonest in my lying. As an actor, the witnesses to the lie, the audiences, have given me their permission. They enter the theater, they suspend their disbelief, that is to say, they're ready to be lied to, and I'm ready to lie. This agreement makes me an honest liar. And somewhere in that equation now, we are able to find the truth. And there's evidence that we've engaged in this contradictory agreement since the beginning of time. And you might ask yourself, who would willingly sign such a contract, or at the very least, why? And the answer is actually quite simple. The truth is hard. We need to practice. As an alcoholic, I can tell you, I have a lot of experience with the truth being too much, too big, too bright, too hard to swallow, too much to deal with. I became a liar to survive. And to survive well, I had to avoid the truth. The truth that, in the grand scheme of things, I individually am so overly insignificant, so small, like a speck of sand on the beach, indiscernible from the next. When I began my recovery from alcoholism, I began to reframe my relationship to the truth. I learned the difference between knowing something and accepting something. Knowing yourself, accepting yourself. Knowing the truth, accepting the truth. Knowing you have a problem, accepting you have a problem. Accepting the truth requires accountability to it. And let's face it, we're all flawed human beings. Accountability requires something bigger than yourself. A community. Community is larger than you are. And to build a community, you really only need understanding. And if the truth is too much, you just have to be honest to be understood. I'll explain. My first sponsor, Arthur, had an affinity for what we would call the imponderables. These arguments about the beginning of the universe or, our purpose overall, fourth dimensional beings, or God's morning routine, questions that are too big for one small person to understand, to really know the truth. And anyone who claimed to know the truth to these questions was either insane or a bold-faced liar. I remember the moment vividly. It was about 10 months into my first bout of sobriety. Arthur, armed with a hookah hose, was talking about how underwater aliens, which are actually angels, obviously, installed computers into ancient apes to make us mine for gold. And it was at this moment I had the thought, how did I get here? I've been taking life advice from a psychopath. Well, it takes a certain amount of bravery to share one's truth, so, unapologetically, uncensored. And he wasn't trying to sell me on anything. If anything, he was showing me, whether he was crazy or not, if nothing else, I didn't have to settle for the truth to start being honest. and that, in fact, I could maybe be a good neighbor now. Actors are often perceived as self-aggrandizing divas with a short attention span, pursuing a selfish career for notoriety and personal gain. I've suffered my alcoholism almost as much as I've suffered my acting. Our craft is to be observed honestly, and to do that feels sort of exactly like sleeping naked with no covers and all your jewelry on display and the doors unlocked wide open, and in fact there's a sign outside encouraging people to come in and take a closer look. It's a selfless act. It takes a certain amount of courage. And that is why people will always return to the live theater, and why I am always in awe of these honest liars, these people who willingly live truthfully under imagined circumstances, who let their community experience through them the ecstasy and the tragedy of our existence, that those who bear witness might prepare themselves for their own struggles. After all, the truth is hard, and we need practice. As an alcoholic in recovery and as an actor, I think I've come to learn that the truth is often too big for one small person, like specks of sand on the beach, indiscernible from the next. And yet, I see an entire universe in an individual when I understand them. So, relax, be honest, find your friends, and you'll find the truth. We find the truth in each other. And I'll leave you with this. If you ever want to compliment an actor, one of those bold-faced liars, don't marvel how they memorized all those lines. You simply tell them, I believed every word. Thank you so much.